Imagine a world without Google Maps, without instant communication, a world where setting sail meant truly venturing into the unknown. In 1632, for hundreds of brave souls, that unknown was calling from across the vast, treacherous Atlantic. Their destination? A place whispered about in taverns and dreamed of in humble homes, New France. Today, we're stepping back in time to a pivotal moment in the story of North America, a moment that saw 300 men, women and children leave everything they knew behind, driven by a mixture of hope, desperation, and the promise of a fresh start. On a crisp day in 1632, they gathered in the bustling port of Dieppe, France, ready to embark on a journey that would shape the destiny of a continent. But why Dieppe? Why 1632? And what exactly were they hoping to find in this new France? To understand our colonists, we first need to understand the France they were leaving behind. The early 17th century was a tumultuous time. King Louis XIII, advised by the formidable Cardinal Richelieu, was consolidating power. But beneath the surface, there was immense social and economic pressure. The countryside was often plagued by famine, disease, and poverty. For many, opportunities were scarce. The promise of land, of a better life, even a new identity, was a powerful motivator for those with nothing to lose and everything to gain. Religious tensions, though not the primary driver for these particular colonists, still simmered after decades of conflict, contributing to a general sense of unease and a desire for stability. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, a vast wilderness beckoned. For decades, European powers had been staking their claims. Spain to the south, England along the coast, and France pushing into the vast interior along the mighty St. Lawrence River. New France, at this point, wasn't a thriving colonial metropolis. It was a rugged outpost, primarily focused on the lucrative fur trade. Indigenous peoples, particularly the Huron and Algonquin, were vital partners in this exchange, trading beaver pelts for European goods. But fur trading alone wouldn't secure France's foothold. To truly establish a presence, to claim the land and its resources, they needed permanent settlers. They needed families, farmers, artisans, the very people gathering in Dieppe. For the French crown, these colonists were more than just individuals. They were instruments of empire, extending France's reach and influence across the globe. And so, we arrive at Dieppe, a bustling port city on the Normandy coast. It was a natural departure point for transatlantic voyages. On this day in 1632, the atmosphere would have been a potent mix of excitement, apprehension, and sorrow. Imagine the scene: the creaking of timber, the shouts of sailors, the smell of salt and tar, the nervous chatter of families. 300 souls from all walks of life were crammed onto ships that, by modern standards, were tiny and ill-equipped for such a monumental journey. Who were these people? They were farmers, blacksmiths, carpenters, seamstresses, and entire families. Some were fleeing hardship, some seeking adventure, others perhaps coerced by the promise of land they could never own in France. Each had a unique story, a personal reason for taking this colossal gamble. For many, this was a final farewell. They knew they might never see their homeland, their families, or the familiar landscapes of France again. The ships themselves were marvels of their age, yet incredibly basic by today's standards. Designed for cargo and trade, they were ill-suited for the long, arduous journey across the open ocean. Life on board would have been cramped, unsanitary, and monotonous. Fresh water would have quickly run out, replaced by stale or brackish water. Food consisted primarily of hardtack, salted meat, dried fish, and whatever could be preserved. Disease was a constant threat. Scurvy from lack of fresh produce, dysentery, typhus. These ailments could decimate a ship's population long before landfall. The risks were enormous, but the rewards, for those who survived, were potentially life-changing. The voyage itself could take anywhere from 6 weeks to 3 months, depending on the weather and the whims of the ocean. Days would blend into weeks, marked by the rhythmic creak of the ship, the endless expanse of water, and the distant cries of gulls. Storms were a terrifying reality, threatening to capsize the small vessels. Calm seas could be equally frustrating, stranding ships for days or weeks, depleting precious supplies. Beyond the physical hardships, there was the immense psychological toll. Homesickness, fear, boredom, and the ever-present uncertainty of their future would have weighed heavily on the passengers. Children in particular would have found the experience bewildering and frightening. Finally, after weeks or months of endless ocean, the cry would go out, "Land ahoy!" The sight of the verdant shores of North America, the vastness of the St. Lawrence River, must have been an overwhelming mix of relief and renewed apprehension. Their destination, Quebec City. Founded by Samuel de Champlain, it was little more than a fortified trading post at this time. For these 300 colonists, it was the stepping stone to their new lives. Upon arrival, they would have faced immediate challenges: clearing land, building shelters, adapting to a harsh climate, and learning to live alongside the Indigenous populations, whose knowledge of the land was crucial for survival. These early interactions were complex, sometimes cooperative, often fraught with misunderstandings, and eventually, tragically, leading to conflict over land and resources. The 300 colonists who departed Dieppe in 1632 were not just individuals, they were the progenitors of a new society. Their arrival marked a significant push in the permanent settlement of New France, laying the groundwork for what would become Quebec, and eventually a distinct French-Canadian culture. Their resilience, their struggles, and their triumphs contributed directly to the establishment of farms, villages, and eventually cities that would shape the landscape and identity of North America. They faced incredible odds: harsh winters, unfamiliar diseases, isolation, and conflict. But their determination etched their story into the very fabric of the continent. While the fur trade remained vital, the arrival of more settlers gradually shifted New France towards an agricultural and community-based society. The story of the 1632 colonists is a microcosm of human migration throughout history, a testament to the enduring human desire for a better life, for opportunity, and for a fresh start. From the bustling port of Dieppe to the rugged shores of the St. Lawrence, their journey reminds us of the incredible courage and sacrifice of those who ventured into the unknown, leaving an indelible mark on the world. What do you think was the biggest challenge for these colonists? Let us know in the comments below. Until our next deep dive into the history of anything and everything. If you enjoyed this journey through history, Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more historical explorations, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure.